Hey y'all, it is I. Happy New Year. Yes, that's right. Tonight, Thursday, Friday, depending on where you are in the world, is the beginning of the new lunar year. You may have heard this time of year referred to as the Chinese New Year. And yes, while Chinese folk are celebrating the beginning of a new year, I think this is the year of the ox. People all over the world for centuries and centuries and centuries have used the lunar calendar to determine when the beginning of cycles are or the end of cycles. And so, it wasn't until the 16th century that we started using the Gregorian calendar. And it was determined that the beginning of the year was January 1st. But our ancestors knew the time was a bit more nuanced than that, and that we had to look to the cosmos to determine the best times to do things, like the best times to plant, the best times to harvest, the best times to store, that kind of thing. And so, for many of us, we have reclaimed those traditions. For a lot of us, we never got rid of them. We just continue on, but we're more vocal about them. Anyhow, I have for the last 7 or 8 years celebrated New Year's at the first new moon of the year, which is what is happening today, Thursday, and going into Friday. And one of the reasons I will say this, and it's so interesting, one of the reasons I started to celebrate the Lunar New Year was because whenever I would make resolutions at like January 1st, by the time the Lunar New Year came, I'd already busted them anyway. I was already like, I'd already broken them. So I did a little bit of research because I'm like, it happens year after year after year. And so when I see cycles like that, I think that there's a reason behind them. There must be something there. And so I did some research and they said it's because the um, setting certain goals at the beginning of the year, January 1st, really doesn't make sense because the universal energy doesn't support certain kinds of resolutions at that time. So typically, the new year happens soon after the Gregorian New Year. And what is happening is that energy leading up to the new moon is best used when you're trying to tie things up, right? When you're trying to let things go, to end things. So, this is why if you set resolutions on January the 1st to do things like quit smoking, or, I'm going to quit my job, or I'm going to give up sugar, or I'm going to give up relationship or whatever, you tend to have a little bit of push from the universe in terms of those things, and you can kind of move into the new year. But if you are setting intentions around things that you want to begin, things that you want to call into your life, you don't really have the universal support for those things. So it's more difficult if you're making resolutions that are something like, I'm going to become a vegetarian, or I'm going to start a workout regimen, or, I'm going to find love, or whatever. So it really just kind of depends on the kinds of resolutions that you make as to whether or not by the time the new moon rolls around, you've been able to stick with them. So um, that's just a little energy, a little interesting bit for you as you start to think about how to best use energy in the creation of, or the co-creation, since you are a co-creator of your life, and using these lunar cycles as a guide to what kinds of things you want to create, and how you want to go about manifesting things in your life. So, yeah, so here we are. We are at the beginning of this new moon. For those of you who are watching this on Thursday, awesome. You're hitting it right on the head. For those of you who might be watching it on Friday or Saturday, don't worry. So, this new moon energy lasts a little longer than just a day. That's the other thing I like about new moon energy. Unlike the beginning of the year, January 1st, it's like if I don't set the intention or I don't make my resolution like between 11 p.m. on the 31st of December and noon, then it's too late. Like, you've got to make a resolution, and you got to be resolute the moment you wake up on the first. Otherwise, it doesn't matter or whatever. That's because you're not really working with anything. You're not really working with any kind of energy. You just decided on the day that somebody decided was the beginning of a new cycle, to start something. But when it comes to the lunar new year, you've got time. Actually, you can start your work 3 or 4 days before the new moon, and you've got a couple of days after the new moon where that energy is still there, and you can begin to work with it as well. So that's something that I want you to remember. So no matter when you're watching this, if it's only a couple of days after, no worries, you still got some time. The other thing I want us to keep in mind is that this is a new moon in Capricorn. And that is important because the sign that the moon is in also kind of gives us some indication as to what kinds of intentions we need to be setting, right? So, those of you who know Capricorns or are aware of Capricorn energy, it's an earth energy, it's a very grounded energy, right? Capricorns are very grounded people, very practical people. The Capricorns in my life are the people that I call upon if I need to get something done, right? They're the ones who are going to bury themselves in the details, ask the really unfun questions. Where's the money coming from? Do you have enough time to do it? I love Capricorn energy, especially as a Leo, because it's almost like, as a Leo, I'm the dreamer. I think big, it's all about the like as big as the sun. And then it's the Capricorn who comes in and says, whoa, Nelly, slow down, boo. Let's take bite-sized chunks off of this. They keep people, like the fire energies and the air energies, they kind of keep us grounded. So I really enjoy and appreciate the Capricorns who are in my life for that. But when it comes to setting intentions for the new moon in Capricorn, it reminds us that now is the time to really start thinking about practical matters. So while we tend to throw everything at the beginning of the year, right, with our resolutions. So it's the beginning of the year. I want a new house. I want a new car. I want a husband. I want kids. I want to travel around the world. I want a new job. I want to start a business. Like all of that stuff we throw on to one day, hoping that within the 365 days it's going to happen. I want a new body. The fact of the matter is that lunar cycles and cycles in general, just life cycles, are not 365 days. Life cycles tend to be about 28 days. And if you are a woman, you know this to be true. In fact, we're going to really get into the ways that the moon influences women, the feminine, later. This is part of a program that I'm intending to get out for 2021, under the Feminine Art of Balance banner. But our cycles tend to be about 28 days. The cycle of intending through manifestation through completion. And so the great thing about having Capricorn energy in the first new moon is that it calls us to really sit down and think about what our first steps are. So, yes, it is absolutely okay to say, I want something big, to wish and dream and intend for something big. Like, absolutely keep that in the back of your mind. Keep that even in the forefront of your mind. But know that when you are sitting down, putting thoughts and idea to paper, that this energy that you're working with today is going to really center around the details, how you're going to get it done, what the first step is. So, my suggestion to you is as you set these intentions, you think about, okay, if I want to buy a house in 2021, what is the first step? Maybe it's I need to get my credit together. So, for the first 28-day cycle this year, I'm going to make sure that all my bills are paid. I'm going to call the credit bureau and make sure that there's nothing bad. I'm going to start the process of getting my credit together. That can be an intention. So the intention is moving toward the final manifestation of a house, but you are focusing all of that energy on the first step. That is what this new moon is about. And I know how frustrating that can be, because I know probably a lot of you have been waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks for these intention setting, this opportunity to set your intention and to do this ritual so that you can just dream big. And that's fine. You can do that. But I just think that if we're going to use the energy, we got to understand that everything has its time. And now is the time for figuring out what practical steps need to be taken in order for us to reach our larger goal. Okay. That is the energy of the Capricorn new moon. All right. So, hate to disappoint you if I disappointed you with that. But just give it another perspective. Try to turn the perspective around. You can't see, here's the thing about manifestation. I'm gonna do this really quick, and then we're gonna get into setting up your space for your ritual. Here's the thing about manifestation that I think a lot of people don't understand is that it doesn't just happen. Like, you remember back when The Secret came out, right? Several years ago, there was this movie called The Secret. It was a book, and then they did a documentary, and the documentary had, like, Michael Beckwith, and then I think what's the other lady's name? I can't think of her name. I can't think of her name. Lisa Nichols, I think it's her name. I mean, it was like a lot of people who participated in this, very well respected people who really truly understand how to use the law of attraction and manifestation. But they couldn't really explain all the nuances in the 90 minutes that they had in the movie, or even in that little book. It's very nuanced, it's very complicated, it's very difficult, while at the same time it's being very easy. So a lot of people thought that to manifest something, really all you had to do is just kind of like imagine it and just hold on to it. I remember in the movie there was this the kid who wanted a bike. The young boy wanted a bike, and so he dreamt about the bike, and he put the bike up on his wall, and he slept with a picture of the bike, and then all of a sudden the bike appeared. Okay, that's great. It doesn't really work like that. You know what I mean? Because actually the tighter you hold on to something, right? If it's like, I want this so bad, it doesn't have room to breathe. It doesn't have room to move. It doesn't have room to grow. You have to let go of things. You just have to put them out to the universe and then set them down and then give them room, time, and space to grow. So that's the first mistake we make when we think about manifesting things. We think we got to just hold on to it and think about it and talk about it and everything 24 hours a day. No, in fact, it's just the opposite. Now you have to work toward it. You got to put in your work, but you don't have to be obsessive about it. Don't be obsessive about it. The second thing that I think a lot of people do not understand about manifestation is that, and this doesn't have anything to do with what I was talking about before, but I just wanted to make this point, is that you cannot hope to manifest something that belongs to someone else. I said this at another new moon video that I did. If what you are trying to bring into your life belongs to someone else, or if the energy behind wanting to manifest this thing, to attract this thing into your life, is from envy, then you're going to end up setting yourself up for failure. You're going to end up setting yourself up to have whatever it is that you're trying to take taken from you. Okay, karma is real. So you got to really check your energy too when it comes to wanting things. So I tell people, when we want big things, like we want big grandiose homes and Maseratis and world travel and all that stuff, really think about what energy is behind this. Is it FOMO energy? Are we fear of missing out? Are we coveting what, our friends have, or the folks on social media have, or where we think we should be, but really honestly it's not truly what we want for our lives? Like, you're trying to manifest a 7 bedroom house, but you live by yourself with no intentions of having 5 kids. So why do you need that big ass house? Really? Now, if that's what you want, then by all means, call it in. But you could be just as happy in a luxury condo with 2 bedrooms somewhere else. Like, really begin to think about why you're calling things in. That is absolutely important. That is probably one of the most important issues. The other thing about manifestation and the law of attraction, and this is why I also love the fact that we've got this Capricorn energy that we're working with that slows us down a little bit, is because we got to make sure we have our emotions and our feelings right too. We got to feel our way into making things happen. We can't just talk our way into it. Now, words are spells, they're powerful. their prayers, right? We know that. But we also have to know again why we want it and what kinds of feelings we hope to that come out of calling that thing or creating that thing into our life, right? So that we can begin before we even get it, calling those feelings into ourselves, creating those feelings for ourselves. This, we talk a lot about this when it comes to trying to manifest relationships, right? So you want to manifest a relationship. You want someone to come into your life because you're lonely, you want, you're bored, you feel unworthy, whatever the case may be, right? Well, you got to start working on that shit before you bring somebody into your life, because first of all, if you approach relationships and the universe decides that it's going to give you someone, and you're attracting someone from a place of loneliness, from a place of desperation, from a place of low self-esteem, you are going to attract someone who is going to eat you, you know what I mean, like for dinner, not in a good way. um and then you're also probably going to attract someone who is dealing with the same stuff. You guys are going to have this, what I call a trauma bond, and those are very difficult to break, and they're very painful to live with. So get right. So if you're lonely, become comfortable being alone. Find peace in your seclusion. If you got some low self-esteem stuff, you better start building that self-esteem up, doing some work around building that up. If you want companionship, now that's real. I tell people all the time, this desire for companionship is real, because as human beings, we are not made to be alone. Then don't just look to a romantic partnership to fulfill that. Go look for some friends. Maybe, there are other people that you have in common that, are not going to be in your bed, who are not going to love you in a romantic way, but still can help you fulfill that desire. And then if you call all that stuff into your life, if you possess all of those things, then it won't be so difficult for you to harness that energy of love and peace and contentment, that does bring in a healthy relationship to you, that attracts a healthy relationship to you, not one that is built off of a desperate need to be with someone. Excuse me. Um, so yeah, so that's what we're talking about. The importance of understanding how manifestation works and why we need to take baby steps. So if for example, you are looking at a relationship, you are trying to manifest a relationship, now would be a really good time to start thinking about why you want to be in a relationship and how you can create that feeling yourself. And maybe this intention setting ritual can surround calling that stuff into your life before you start thinking about calling a person into your life. Just a suggestion. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that there are ways to think about it. Use the energy that's available to you, because trying to skip above or beyond not understanding is going to just frustrate you in the end. All right. By the way, wherever you are watching this, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down in the comments wherever they happen to be. I'm going to post it various places. Um, and I'll come back and I'll answer those questions for you. All right, so let's talk about setting up our ritual space. First thing you want to do, clear your space. If you've seen any of my videos, you know this. You clear your space with what I call a burnable. Sage, Palo Santo. I am using this evening sandalwood incense. This was given to me to try. I may be incorporating these into the sage and stone box. Really love the way this smells. I've been burning it on and off all day. Sandalwood is a very powerful burnable. So, got your incense going. The next thing you want to do is pour yourself a cup of tea. If you got the Sage and Stone box for January, you have the Urban Bushwoman Creativity there. Pour yourself a cup of tea. You can sip on it, especially as you do the writing portion of your intention ritual. The next thing you want to do, light a candle. My candle is already lit here. If you do candle work, that's your thing, you know how to use it, then light a candle, the color candle that corresponds with whatever energy you're trying to bring in for this ritual. If you like, yeah, I don't know nothing about that, Shauna, light a white candle, you're good. The next thing you can do is get something that makes noise. Now, um, preferably something that makes a sweet noise. One of my favorite instruments when I'm trying to set the scene for a powerful ritual is my Tibetan singing bowl. I love it. Whew, just brings my energy right on down right away. Um, but you can also use other things. If you look over here, can you see right here? That's a drum, right? That's a Native American drum. I've got chimes over there. My altar is actually right over here, and on my altar, which is where I'm going to do my ritual later on, there's a bell. So I have an altar bell. So whatever it is, if you don't have any instruments in the house, then you can go on YouTube. I know now Spotify has like Tibetan singing bowl playlist, so you can just play that music if that just does it for you. If you can sing, if you have a beautiful voice, then sing, sing a song, a chant, or a song from church, or anything that kind of clears the space, audibly kind of clears the energy and also makes you feel good. All right. Next thing you want to do is, now, let me tell you this. When you are setting up a space for a ritual, I always like to have all of the elements present. This is important to me. So you want to have fire present, fire in the candle, fire in the incense or the smudge stick. Um, you want to have water present. So if you're drinking tea, your tea represents water, or you can actually have water, or if on your altar you have just water for your ancestors, or wherever, however you do it, that's fine. You want to have the earth present as well. And so I usually will have a stone nearby. Now, this is tourmaline. Actually, this is a stone that I got in a package from Ghana. We're going to be putting these in the sage and stone box. This one I love because it has the crystal on it here. So it's, this is just a beautiful stone. Like, this one spoke to me. It called to me, and I was like, I can't sell you. I have to have you. But this is a grounding stone, and this is also a really good stone for protection. And so whenever I do ritual work, whenever I feel like I'm just kind of opening the portal, even though I'm very clear about what I know what I'm doing, I'm very clear about what I'm calling, and I'm very clear about who my God is. The reality is, anytime that you are doing this kind of work, and I think this is true no matter where you are. I mean, even when you're going to church, you know what I mean? Listen, every spirit that shows up ain't always a positive spirit. And so sometimes it's just good to have your protection. That's why you go into church, and that's why you pray. You pray to God to say thank you, but you're also praying for protection, right? Because you understand that there are principalities from which you will need protection, particularly when you live in a time where there is a lot of questionable energy in and around. So yeah, I keep I keeps my protection stone there. So that represents earth. On my altar, I'm not gonna get up and get it, but I have actually feathers. It was really interesting while I was down in Florida. Birds just kept dropping feathers in front of me. So I collected a bunch of feathers. Even my mom was like, wait a minute, you got feathers on the beach? I'm like, I just kept walking and they were right there. Feathers are gifts from the divine, gifts from your guardian angels and your spirit guides. And so I usually will have a feather on my altar to represent air. But your journal can also represent that air element, because this is you putting things down, and as you write them down, you are also essentially putting it out into the universe. And so get yourself a journal. This is my journal. So this is my day-to-day journal, right? It's a big one that I start at my new year, which is my birthday in July. So this is really like the halfway point of my year. But if you don't want to use your journal, and again, you have a sage and stone backs, you have a box. You have a journal inside of the box that you can use for your new moon as well as your full moon rituals. Okay. So you can write down the things that you want to attract into your life, the things that you intend to do, see, and come to fruition and manifest on those first pages. It can be one thing, it can be 100 things. It's completely up to you. Write them out and then put them aside. I'm gonna put this out because it's smokers. That's the only thing about this. These sandalwood, that smoke is strong. Um, so write it out and then put it aside, right? Put it aside. And we'll come back to it at the end of this 28-day cycle. Now, I want to I want to give you a piece of advice that was given to me a couple of days ago, which I'm going to try this time around. Someone said to me, when you put together a list of things that you intend to manifest, after the cycle, you can go back and see what really came to pass. And you'll find that some things have and some things haven't, because this may not be the season for certain things that you'd like to manifest to come to pass. But do not go back to your list and cross out the thing that has actually happened. Like energetically, that is the wrong thing to do. Never cross it out, never check it off. Instead, start a new list, right? And then just take that, whatever has come to pass, just remove it from the list, exclude it from the new list, and start things over. Start that list over. And what this also does is it gives you space to bring more into the list, more things that you might want to manifest. And it also gives you an opportunity to reevaluate the initial list. So if you're creating a list for this first new moon and you're calling in some things, you may come back at the end of January or the beginning of February and say, you know what? Those things that were really important to me on January 12th aren't as important as these other things on February. And this is so important as our world changes so quickly. Is that we need to create space for things to change, and we need to allow ourselves to change our mind or to evolve or to pull back or whatever the case may be. So write it down, put the list aside, come back to the list after your 28-day cycle. And by that, I just mean until we get to another new moon. Um, Reassess, reevaluate, and then write yourself out a completely different list. Okay, so I'm gonna do that because I see what I do is I don't cross out things, but I kind of just, if I have a list of things and everything on that list has not come to pass, I just kind of leave the list there. And so I was told, no, take that list, burn it, and start another one. And include things that you still want, but don't be afraid to add or take out stuff. All right. So this is what you're gonna do. So you're gonna write down the things that you want. Now, like I said, you can put it aside. If you prefer to burn it, some people do. You can do that. If you want to bury it, you can do that. That's completely up to you. I will say this though. I don't tend to burn new moon lists. Um, some people say you do that, and then it goes out to. I don't do that. If I'm gonna burn a list, I'm burning a full moon list. Because your full moon list is the stuff that you want to get rid of, the stuff that you want to move past. So if I burn it, it's done. That's just me. All right. So after you set your list, you can do a few things. You can take a bath. You can read a scripture or read a story or read some kind of spiritual text. Or you can meditate. You can meditate. And I suggest there are plenty of new moon meditations available to you online, on YouTube, on the Insight Timer. Um, there's another one. Oh, I'm going to put it in the comments. There is a meditation app for Black folks. I don't remember what it's called right at the top. It'll be in the comment section. Check that out. I'm sure there'll be some new moon meditations there too. I'm not gonna do a new moon meditation here. I will be presenting meditations later on through the year. So If you become a client of the Urban Bushwoman and you buy a Sage and Stone box, I will be providing videos and meditations around the contents of the box. So I'll be doing that on my Feminine Art of Balance private group. If you want to become part of that private group, then just go ahead and hit me in the DMs or in my messages, and I will make you part of that group. Now, this is going to be the founding members group. So for the month of January, anyone who is in the group, I got a group of ladies already in. Anyone who wants to be part of that group can come in for nothing. You will be a founding member of the group. After which there will be a charge to get into the group. So it will be either the purchase of a box, which will bring you into the group because I want you to at least have the information on how to use the box, or there will be a monthly fee to be in the group because we're going to be giving you some really good stuff. Lots of good information, meditations, suggestions, conversations, perspectives, and things like that. So get in there. That's all I'm saying. Get in there. So yeah, there you have it. A little background on the Lunar New Year, a little ways, some ways to use that energy, some suggestions on how to set up your altar and what to do or wherever you choose to do it. I wish you all of the love and the peace and the joy and the protection and the safety and all of the blessings and everything that you can even begin to imagine, and so much more for this new year. God knows we are all gonna need it, but we will be good. All will be well. All right. So, until next time, y'all. Peace and love. Bye.